Okay, hello and welcome back. And this is not my kitchen. I should call this, and this is not my kitchen, otherwise known as how to invade your friends and family's kitchen version, whatever. So I'm at my friend Sandy's house, and you've met Sandy before.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yes.
But because stuff has happened in both lives and both families. So, at any rate, I've been after Sandy to do a video of her recipe for her famous cornbread. So that's what you're going to do.
And famous in the sense it was the only cornbread my mother ever made. So for me, it is the only cornbread. And I will say right away, in terms of what it is not a sweet cornbread. So for folks who like sweet cornbread, they probably should try this, because I personally think sweet is for cupcakes, muffins, and cookies. And I think cornbread needs to be earthy. And therefore, this to me is a great recipe. I would also like to say to anyone out there watching that the sign of a really good recipe is not how many likes it gets on your Facebook or X or whatever. It's how many recipes do you see that are written on a piece of folded paper, an envelope, dashed off very quickly. Those are usually keepers for a reason. So this is Mom's cornbread. And when I pulled it out this afternoon, I realized I actually copied this recipe in 2014, which means it is a decade.
Oh my gosh, since you got this
I thought that was a pretty cool thing to notice.
Sandy, tell us what we're going to need.
First thing you need will be 1.5 cups of this white self-rising cornmeal. And the brand I particularly like now is Moss. I found this, my husband found it actually in our local Food Lion, and it's a wonderful.
And it says brand. That it's from North Carolina.
Well, there you go. I didn't even know that.
Up at the top there?
It absolutely does.
North Carolina product. So
it's a winner. And
it's legit.
I always use the white self-rising cornmeal, 1.5 cups. We also need 1 cup of buttermilk. Now, I will say, I tend to go a little bit heavier on the buttermilk because I think it just gives it a little more density, if you will, and it just adds a little kick. Okay, and one nice sized egg, which is what I have here.
Did you grow these yourself, Sandy?
The eggs?
Yes, the eggs.
No, I'm not. Although I have very southern country roots, I do not have any chickens. There are some cows, which kind of are my husband's thing, but I do not particularly care to engage in having chickens. Because
it's another one.
I think they might try to peck me or something.
Well, I've been trying to get Nelson to go on chickens. Now I know why he won't do it.
Well, the other ingredient that you will need is 2 tablespoons of butter, which you will put in a cast iron skillet. I think this is it says 6-inch, but this is my cornbread skillet. First thing I will do is take this butter, and I will put it in the skillet. I'm going to put it in probably medium. Yes, it's going to just melt
while
right there.
You do the other part.
The oven has already been preheated to 425.
Oh, that's high.
Yes, it is. And that, I know, was a surprise to me the first time my mother gave me the recipe. But this is something that really does need to cook that quickly.
Cornmeal that is self-rising white cornmeal. I have never used white cornmeal before.
Then the egg.
This is not an impossible recipe.
I like simple recipes with good ingredients, clean ingredients.
So do I.
The next thing I will do now is my buttermilk. So I'll shake this up.
And this is just the regular kind of buttermilk you buy at the grocery store.
Whole cultured. Do not go low fat on these recipes.
I wouldn't dream of it.
Because what happens, it changes the texture.
I see you went a little bit over.
I went a little bit over because I actually did that one night accidentally, and I told my husband, I said, Nelson, I don't know if this will be as good as it normally is, because I went a little crazy with the buttermilk. And when he tasted it, he said, oh, it's actually, I like it better. He said, it's actually better. So I was like, okay, well, this is something I can continue to do.
You improved upon it.
I improved upon it.
And you're just mixing it up.
You mix it up, and you don't want to beat it to death. I do vaguely remember that my mother told me not to overbeat.
Well, that's the same thing as with muffins.
Yep.
You don't want to overbeat them.
So you see that this butter is coming to nice.
Yep, it's not smoking.
Not smoking, not brown.
It's perfectly melting.
And you're going to be surprised in a minute what you see me do, but this is how my mother told me to do it. So when it pretty much has melted, which I'm good with that now, you put your batter right in.
And the stove is still on?
Yes. My mother always told me to let it start cooking on top of the stove. And
you think that makes it form a crust, or what do you think that makes it do?
I think maybe it helps the bottom to brown nicely. Give it a minute right here. So I can see this is looking as if it's kind of bubbling up on the edges. You can see in the middle of the rack.
The middle of the rack in the middle of the oven.
Yes.
For how long?
20 minutes. I'll go 23 minutes, but I will check on it. And again, everybody knows this. Our ovens are different.
Sandy, where'd you get that accent?
Oh, that.
Where'd you grow up?
It is actually an interesting story. My family is all from Southwest Virginia, Abingdon, also the mountains near Boone. I recently found out that one of my great-great-great-grandmothers killed a bear with an apple butter paddle.
Must have been a heck of an apple butter.
Well, I think, or a heck of a grandmother. And as I said to my aunt who shared this with me, that would explain quite a bit. And also, she was the descendant of my great-great-grandmother, Sarah Boone, who was Daniel Boone's sister.
All right.
So I have that kind of background.
You have a legitimate Appalachian mountain.
I do, but
northern Appalachian mountain. Virginia, North Carolina, Appalachian Mountain.
North Carolina.
Mountain of the Appalachian Blue Ridge accent.
I used to tell my students, a Southern accent does not mean people are not intelligent. Unfortunately, it is often portrayed that way. And now we have a perfect pan of cornbread.
It is perfect.
And a little trick I learned from my husband's grandmother, who also was related to you. Sometimes if you open a fresh stick of butter, which I just did, you can take the wrap of the butter, if you have something that's hot out of the oven, such as cornbread or chicken that you fried or baked, and you could just put that over there, and it gives that little, any butter that's left on the wrapper. So that's Depression era thinking, that you don't waste anything, but it's kind of nice.
Well, Arlene was a great country cook. Official cornbread. And we have a lovely butter.
So I want you to try this and see how it tastes.
It has a great tenderness to it, and it's really good.
This is almost
really
like cake.
But not sweet.
Not sweet.
But
I will tell you,
the consistency is much more like cake than cornbread, the cornbread that I've had.
I think probably of all the things I cook, this is Nelson's favorite.
I know he likes it.
He will ask me sometimes, could you make some cornbread?
I've had this over here before, and it's good stuff. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Sandy. Can we come back again? Okay. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye. Think you can kill a bear with that?
Well, I think I would be willing to try.